Okay, today we're going to be reading on God's promise fulfilled. And this is from the Magnify Old Testament Stories for Children. Okay. Hagar and Ishmael. Sarah, Abram's wife, had no children. And I think it might be pronounced a little different, like Sarai, Abram's wife, until it's changed later on into Sarah. But let's just say Sarai, Abram's wife, had no children. She had a slave girl from Egypt named Hagar. Sarai said to Abram, "Look, the Lord has not allowed me to have children, so have sexual relations with my slave girl. If she has a child, maybe I can have my own family through her." Abram did what Sarai said. This was after Abram lived 10 years in Canaan, and Sarai gave Hagar to her husband, Abram. Hagar was her slave girl from Egypt. Abram had sexual relations with Hagar, and she became pregnant. When Hagar learned she was pregnant, she began to treat her mistress, Sarai, badly. Then Sarai said to Abram, "This is your fault. I gave my slave girl to you, and when she became pregnant, she began to treat me badly. Let the Lord decide who is right, you or me." But Abram said to Sarai, "You are Hagar's mistress. Do anything you want to her." Then Sarai was hard on Hagar, and Hagar ran away. The angel of the Lord found Hagar beside a spring of water in the desert. The spring was by the road to Shur. The angel said, "Hagar, you are Sarai's slave girl. Where have you come from? Where are you going?" Hagar answered, "I am running from my mistress Sarai." The angel of the Lord said to her, "Go home to your mistress and obey her." The angel of the Lord also said, "I will give you so many descendants they cannot be counted." The angel also said to her, "You are now pregnant, and you will have a son. You will name him Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your cries. Ishmael will be like a wild donkey. He will be against everyone, and everyone will be against him. He will attack all his brothers." The slave girl gave a name to the Lord who spoke to her. She said to him, "You are God who sees me." This is because she said to herself, "Have I really seen God who sees me?" So the well there was called Bir Lahai Roi. It is because Kadesh and Bered. Hagar gave birth to a son for Abram, and Abram named him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar gave birth to Ishmael. Proof of the agreement. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him. The Lord said, "I am God all-powerful. Obey me and do what is right. I will make an agreement between us. I will make you the ancestor of many people." Then Abram bowed face down on the ground. God said to him, "I am making my agreement with you. I will make you the father of many nations. I am changing your name from Abram to Abraham. This is because I am making you a father of many nations. I will give you many descendants. New nations will be born from you. Kings will come from you. And I will make an agreement between me and you and all your descendants from now on. I will be your God and the God of all your descendants. You live in the land of Canaan now as a stranger. But I will give you and your descendants all this land forever, and I will be the God of your descendants." Then God said to Abraham, "You and your descendants must keep this agreement from now on. This is my agreement with you and all your descendants. Every male among you must be circumcised. You must obey this agreement. Cut away the foreskin to show that you follow the agreement between me and you. From now on, when a baby boy is 8 days old, you will circumcise him. This includes any boy born among your people or any who is your slave. He would not be one of your descendants. So, circumcise every baby boy. Circumcise him whether he is born in your family or bought as a slave. Your bodies will be marked. This will show that you are part of my agreement that lasts forever. Any male who is not circumcised will be separated from his people. He has broken my agreement." Isaac, the promised son. God said to Abraham, "I will change the name of Sarai, your wife. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her. I will give her a son, and you will be the father. She will be the mother of many nations. Kings of nations will come from her." Abraham bowed face down on the ground and laughed. He said to himself, "Can a man have a child when he is 100 years old? Can Sarah give birth to a child when she is 90? Then Abraham said to God, "Please let Ishmael be the son you promised." God said, "No, Sarah, your wife, will have a son, and you will name him Isaac. I will make my agreement with him. It will be an agreement that continues forever with all his descendants. You asked me about Ishmael, and I heard you. I will bless him. I will give him many descendants, and I will cause their numbers to grow very greatly. He will be the father of 12 great leaders. I will make him into a great nation, but I will make my agreement with Isaac. He is the son whom Sarah will have at the same time next year." After God finished talking with Abraham, God rose and left him. Then Abraham gathered Ishmael and all the males born in his camp. He also gathered the slaves he had bought. So that day Abraham circumcised every man and boy in his camp. This was what God had told him to do. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised. Abraham and his son were circumcised on that same day. Also on that day all the men in Abraham's camp were circumcised. This included all those born in his camp and all the slaves he had bought from other nations. The three visitors. Later, the Lord again appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre. At that time, Abraham was sitting at the door of his tent. It was during the hottest part of the day. He looked up and saw three men standing near him. When Abraham saw them, he ran from his tent to meet them. He bowed face down on the ground before them. Abraham said, "Sir, if you think well of me, please stay a while with me, your servant. I will bring some water so all of you can wash your feet. You may rest under the tree. I will get some bread for you so you can regain your strength. Then you may continue your journey." The three men said, "That is fine. Do as you said." Abraham hurried to the tent where Sarah was. He said to her, "Hurry, prepare 20 quarts of fine flour. Make it into loaves of bread." Then Abraham ran to his cattle. He took one of his best calves and gave it to a servant. The servant hurried to kill the calf and to prepare it for food. Abraham gave the three men the calf that had been cooked. He also gave them milk curds and milk. While the three men ate, he stood under the tree near them. Then the men asked Abraham, "Where is your wife Sarah?" "There in the tent," said Abraham. Then the Lord said, "I will certainly return to you about this time a year from now. At that time your wife Sarah will have a son." Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were very old. Sarah was past the age when women normally have children. So she laughed to herself, "My husband and I are too old to have a baby." Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh? Why did she say I'm too old to have a baby? Is anything too hard for the Lord? No, I will return to you at the right time a year from now, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, "I didn't laugh." A baby for Sarah. The Lord cared for Sarah as he had said. He did for her what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and she gave birth to a son for Abraham in his old age. Everything happened at the time God had said it would. Abraham named his son Isaac. Sarah gave birth to the son of Abraham. Abraham circumcised Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded. All right, now I'm going to read the little side stories here. This one's Bible Basics. What's up with circumcision? It might seem strange for the Bible to talk about circumcision, a surgery the Israelites performed on 8-day-old boys, but God commanded that all Israelites be circumcised as a sign that they were a part of his agreement or covenant. It showed that they were different and set apart from the other nations around them. In the New Testament, God requires that our hearts be circumcised. In other words, God removes the sin in our hearts so that we can be set apart for him. Get connected. Relationships with God. For laughing out loud. Picture your great-grandmother. Now picture her having a baby in her old age. Does the thought make you laugh? It made Sarah laugh out loud. She was 90 years old when the Lord told her that he was going to give her a son and that her descendants would become so great that they would outnumber the grains of sand along the sea. Sarah learned, and we should too, that nothing is impossible for God. Think about it. If he created everything that exists, he can control it too. So what seems impossible to you? Do you have a friend who seems too far from God to ever become a Christian? Do you want your parents to get along better? Nothing is too hard for God. Just pray and trust him to do what is right. He promises to take care of you. Live in it. The Hagar Brahaha. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but some of these names I won't say right. Genesis 16:1-15. She knew God had promised her a son, but now she was getting pretty old. What should she do? Sarah did what we all are often guilty of doing. She took matters into her own hands. She figured God must need a little help getting his plan to come together. But what she ended up doing cost her a friendship, divided her marriage, and messed up the lives of those around her. For some reason, we often think we know more than God. We figure we can fix the broken relationships around around us by forcing others to act the way we want them to act. But it doesn't work. Like Sarah, we have forgotten that God alone is in control. When we need help or direction, the very first thing we need to do is pray. Talk to God about it. Ask Him what He would like us to do. Then search His Word for answers. Wait for God to show up in your life. He always will at just the right time to finish His work in you. Sarah, it probably wasn't easy being married to Abraham. Life was all well and good until he said he had spoken with this God they had not known before. Now they had to pack up everything and move to some strange foreign land. Later, some strangers would tell her and her husband that after almost a century of being childless, her old body would bear a son. Later still, after the promise came true, she'd have to watch her husband walk off with her precious son to obey a command that could end his life. Sarah's life wasn't easy, but it was an adventure. Through the trials, she learned to trust Abraham's God who had called them to a better place. Just as Abraham believed, so did Sarah. Together they became the parents of the Jewish race and received the incredible blessing that comes from believing a real relationship with God. Was Sarah out of her mind? Why would she want her husband to have a baby with another woman? It was actually something her culture said she had to do. Ancient marriage contracts found in the city of Nazi, dating from the middle of the 2nd millennium BC, said that if the wife was unable to have a boy baby, then she had to provide one through a female servant. Get connected, relationships with God, best friends. Isn't it cool how the Lord and Abraham just sat and talked? God appeared as a man and had conversations, even ate food at one point with Abraham and treated him as a close friend. Do you ever wish that God still worked the same way today? No doubt. It is harder to have a deep friendship with someone you can't see, but God has asked us to trust Him. We don't have to see a face because the Bible shows us His heart. As we believe what He says, we realize that He is a part of every moment of our day. We don't have to give formal prayers all the time. We can talk to Him just like we would our best friend. Let Him know what you're thinking, what you need, and listen in your heart for Him to answer. Like Abraham, you'll discover that you have the God of creation as your very best friend. And then the next one will be on Abraham's test with Isaac. Well, I hope you enjoyed this reading, and God bless you all. Jesus loves you.